Okay, hey guys, here I am with another PlayBASIC live video. Today I want to have a very quick, super rushed look at a library for PlayBASIC called G2D. You can find the library down in the PlayBASIC section of the forums in the maintenance area under libraries. These are pretty much just extensions to the language. There's a whole bunch of them down there too, so don't be afraid to have a look at them. Some of them are probably obsolete now, like the frame animation library, save bitmap, save AVI. They're all they come with PB these days. The one we want to look at is this one. G2D OpenGL library for PlayBASIC 164p. Now, it's specifically for the P164p and its revisions because it requires the DLL that the library was created using PlayBASIC to DLL, and it has those DLLs require hookbacks into the language, and they only work with very specific versions. It should work with all the versions of 164p, but don't quote me on that. It may not. Actually, it's saying there we need beta 42 or higher. Okay, so the library is really just a collection of functions that let you create a GL screen and render PlayBASIC primitives, images, sprites, maps, fonts to the screen. I'm scrolling down the bottom here. That's where the latest build of it is. Down at the bottom of the thread, and we've got an attachment here. Here we go. And this one's called, that's where the file is. Grab it and yep, download. Okay, now the commands that are available are generally very similar to the internal PB commands. They're just prefixed with G2D. So you can distinguish between what's a G2D command and an internal command. The internal commands work to the DirectX surface or the display, we might want to call it, and the other ones only draw, these ones only draw to the OpenGL screen. They're two different sort of concepts completely, so you can't mix and match them, unfortunately. Alright, so once you've downloaded it to your computer, you would unzip it, and it comes with an example called Basic 2D. Sorry, just okay, so you've unzipped your G2D example, and there's an example in there called 2D Basic or something like that. Basic 2D. I forget now. Basic 2D, there it is. Opened up before. And it's just a normal PlayBASIC program. Nothing special about it really. These G2D programs just have the library included at the top, and then from then on you do a bit of setup code here to set up the rendering engine, I guess you would. It's the easiest way to think of it. Here we're pushing off the DX screen so we no longer can see it. And then from then on down, it's just business as normal. The library itself is really just a list of function bindings, a couple of structures, and there we go. The DLL is built with PlayBASIC. The whole library is just written in PlayBASIC and then converted across. Converted to a DLL using PlayBASIC to DLL. That's kind of what we're here to look at. Now, I can't run this and capture this at the same time, so I'm going to have to sort of break away now to run it and do some post-production stuff so you can see what's going on. Alright, so we're back from looking at the test scenes. Let's look at the code that actually creates them. So the current build of G2D has its own concept of a 2D camera. It supports images, sprites, maps, fonts, text, as well as basic 2D rendering. So primitives that like dots and lines and boxes, that kind of stuff, which you would have seen in the demo anyway. So as we said before, we would just include the library in our project. We have to start the library and tell it the size of our window. For memory, it doesn't support full screen exclusive modes. It's been a while since I've used it though, so don't quote me on that one. We push the DX screen off the window, and then that reveals the actual window. The same way as what you would do is if you're streaming video to the PV screen. If you're not aware of that, you can do that as well. As another example out there that does that. Let's go down to the inner loop. So G2D has its own particle engine, and here you can actually particle behaviors are stored as scripts. So I'm loading the scripts here, and then using it later on. The spawner structure is kind of how I'm sort of keeping those things in that demo. The trouble with this demo is it has so many different facets to it. Let's take a look at the main. As you can see, this is our main loop pretty much of the demo. When the mode change variable is not 0, we fall through here and we call one of these initialization functions if it exists, and we call it by function name using the function index command with the name after it, or the number after, I should say. So if it doesn't exist, nothing gets called, but if a function is found, it just calls it, moves on, and then our main loop here is just calling the test mode here. So it gets the string, adds this value to it, creates a name of a function, in this case G2D underscore test scene underscore, and it will be a 2-digit number at the end. So if test mode is 10, we'll be getting the index of function 10, which is over here somewhere. There it is. And this will return a non-zero value. You don't know what it is, and you shouldn't actually try and remember these values between runs of your program, because they'll be different at some point. We call it, and life goes on. This just means that I can drop in new scenes into the demo and never have to change the inner loop. That code's been the same since the first version of the demo, as far as I remember. Let's jump to have a look at one of these ones. I said 10 before, didn't I? Let's have a look at G2D init scene 10. So pretty abrupt. Okay, so it's saying this is a map test scene with sprites. I can't remember. So we're deleting all the previous PV sprites. We're making a map scene. Obviously, so some standard junk scene that we create between each test. Making some random sprite scene. I'm assuming that's like 75 sprites maybe. Once it's done that, let's have a look where that goes to. Yeah, so that's the count. And running through and creating a bunch of these sprites. You'll notice it's just normal PV sprite commands. There's no, you don't need to use G2D to do that. You just use the normal PV sprite commands. You can do your collisions and all that kind of stuff with normal PV sprite commands, but you're just rendering this stuff out with G2D to the GL window. Let's go back to our scene. So this one here is the main. It's the effect that's being called. Yeah, look at that. Just happens to be one that's just a bunch of wrapped functions. Okay, this bit of code here is doing what? Let's have a look. Okay, it's drawing a shade box in the background, getting the mouse relative to the G2D window, drawing some image, which I have no idea where it is. We can probably work it out though. Probably the GL logo, image 2 I guess. We're moving a map, we're doing something, scrolling something, I don't know what that is. Drawing a level, it's scrolling, positioning some sprite. You know, it's hard to really know what this stuff is, and then drawing an ordered sprite scene. Okay, sorry about rushing through this stuff here, but it's kind of the order of the day. Really today's about creating awareness of G2D, and that you can do this stuff in just regular PlayBASIC. So anyway, thanks for watching, and if you're running PlayBASIC 164p, then go grab G2D and have some fun. Alright, thank you, bye.